Magandang araw po mga kaibigan. Sa ating po namang Coffee Chat Talk, makakasama natin si Professor Clarita Carlos. Siya po ay isang political analyst at naging Pangulo ng National Defense College of the Philippines at very well-rounded yung kanyang background sa mga nagaganap hindi lamang sa Pilipinas kung hindi sa buong daigdig. However, our focus is Asia and the United States because whether we like it or not, the Philippines plays an important role geographically and politically sa mga magkakalaban, kung masasabi nga magkakalabang mga ekonomiya ng daigdig, ito ang Estados Unidos at ito ang China. At ngayong buwan ng Nobyembre, idaraos po naman ang Asia-Pacific Economic Cooperation Meeting, bagaman at virtual ito at pangangasiwaan ng Malaysia. At magandang masuri kung ano ba ang naganap mula nang itatag ang APEC noong 1989 at ito ba'y napakinabangan ng Pilipinas at ng mga mamamayan. So today, we're joined by Professor Clarita Carlos. Magandang araw po sa inyo, Professor.
Hi, hello. Good morning. Good afternoon, Melo.
Yeah, it's a pleasure to have you with us this afternoon. Pag-usapan natin, yung po bang Asia-Pacific Economic Cooperation ay may halaga pa, lalo pa at mayroong pagbabago sa mga nagaganap sa larangan ng ekonomiya, Professor?
Well, let's put it this way. Siguro people looking from outside, nakikita nila patong-patong na tong mga economic groupings na to. In fact, naguguluhan sila what the APEC is for, what the ASEAN is for, what is this grouping formed by China and many others, no? Ako naman, ang tingin ko dyan ay for as long as each one of these groupings may lead eventually to economic integration, then why not? Basta hindi nagko-collide ang kanilang mga mandates.
Yeah. Pero katulad po nitong Asia-Pacific Economic Cooperation, yung bang mga napagkasunduan dyan, accomplish po bang mabuti ang APEC?
That one, I have not seen the scores in regard to that, no? Because some of them, ang APEC kasi, merong mga, most of it would be non-binding resolutions. Basta ang general philosophy diyan is removing barriers to trade. Basta ganun yung general philosophy niya. Let us remove all barriers to trade so that we can trade freely. But you know, those are big words. But in many cases, you will find out that each one of the APEC members, as well as other economic groupings, are putting up the highest walls, tariff and non-tariff. So, yun nga tumbalik dun sa mga communique nila, sa mga agreements nila, binding or not non-binding, they are in fact moving inward and pushing protectionist policies, which is not good for the world economy.
Opo. Nung kasing 1994, kung hindi ako nagkakamali, dun sa Bogor Declaration nila, nagkasundo sila na magkaroon ng pagbubukas ng mga pamilihan. For developing countries, the target is 2020. Pero ngayon, sinasabi ni Pangulong Donald Trump na America first, no? Sabi naman ni Pangulong Xi Jinping ng China, dapat meron talagang pagbubukas ng kalakalan sa daigdig. Nag-uumpugang bato ito, saan tayo patutungo as a country and as an economy with 110 million consumers, if you may?
Yeah, kasi always we have to take note of the fact that countries are asymmetrical. That is the reason why merong ng categories ng developing, developed, no, economies, because they are in different economic phases or scales. That is why even the beautiful concept trade liberalization are skewed in favor of the developed economies. Kasi nga developed na sila What they do is they enter a market and no contest. Kasi yung mga locals is inferior sila technologically, inferior sila from a science, R&D, inferior all around. So pag sinabi mo meron na trade liberalization, you are opening a market of a country which is not developed. So you're coming in, tapos isasaplak mo yung very high level technology mo, advanced science, R&D. And therefore, what you really are doing is you are keeping the developing economy or underdeveloped economy underdeveloped. Nakita mo yun? So ang gandang pakinggan ng trade liberalization, di ba? Remove all barriers to trade, no? In its philosophy, you cannot quarrel with it. But in its implementation, you will find out that you are in fact increasing inequality among states.
Yeah. Isang bagay po kasi katulad niyan, maraming Pilipino na nagsasabi na yung ating ekonomiya ay dependent on consumer spending. May pera ang Pilipino. Pero ngayon, halos 250,000 ng mga overseas Filipinos ang nakauwi. Malaking bagay din ito doon sa ating sabihin nating foreign remittances na ginagastos ng mga naiwan dito sa Pilipinas. Kung wala ng trabaho. Tapos, yung BPOs naman, kung walang kalakalan dahilan sa merong slump ang ekonomiya sa daigdig gawa ng COVID, saan po kaya kukuha ng lakas ang Pilipinas?
Yeah, that is the reason why a key department sa atin should be the dole. Kasi work now is different. Work conditions are different. And that is setting aside even the pandemic. Even before the pandemic, robotization, automation, all these things already are coming in. And here we are still in a time warp, which is not paying attention to this. Look at our graduates, Melo. They graduate, they join the unemployed because we have not even rethought our curricula so that many of them, if not replaced by machines, are no longer needed by the economy. So walang match up walang synchrony yung kinakailangan ng ekonomiya, whether domestic or foreign, and yung tinuturo mo sa mga bata in terms of their education, knowledge, skills, and competencies. If you have a disjunct there, then immediately you're creating unemployment and you are creating social discord. Siyempre, unemployed ka, nabuburyong ka, magnanakaw ka na lang, the social anomie that comes out of that, napakaraming peso sign yan, and we are not even paying attention to that, no? Tignan mo ngayon, DepEd, CHED, TESDA, winatak-watak nila dyan. That was part of EDCOM 1. And that is the worst decision that they have made, as a matter of fact, as we are seeing it now. Kasi watak-watak, walang unity di ba? Oh.
Pero sa ganito pong pagkakataon, if I recall it right, during my younger days, and that was a long, long time ago, kami yung first batch nung kumuha ng NCEE, yung National College Entrance Examination. In fact, meron pang competition noon kung sino kung aling paaralan na makakapagpapasa ng 100% ng kanilang high school graduates, sino magkakaroon ng 99 plus, sino ang papasang awa sa percentile rank. Pero may mga pananaw noon na yung mga hindi papasa sa NCE, pang technical vocational. Pero dumating din po yung pagkakataon na yung mga nasa technical vocational, yun ang mas malaki ang kita kaysa doon sa 4-year college degree holder na wala namang mapasukan trabaho. Ito na yung binabanggit niyong mismatch. Saan nandun ang problema?
Ang problema, nag-uumpisa sa university, sa edukasyon. Kasi doon mo umpisahan no? Ang edukasyon, kailangan mag-match din doon sa level ng ekonomiya, no? The economy is industrializing and yet yung education mo huling-huli siya, no? There's so much emphasis on a BA, an MA, and PhD. And as I said, you will find out that those with PhDs, they can't even do anything, which that common thing that you would do like every day. So, hindi tayo sumunod sa agos ng panahon. Alam natin ngayon, nag-o-offer ka pa ng accounting, alam mo naman yung mga accountants, they will be replaced by machines, no? Alam mo naman yung mga auditors, they will be replaced by machines. Mawawalan ka na ng COA, mawawalan ka ng BIR, mawawalan ka ng immigration. Ano yung meron ngayon? Ngayon would be data analytics, big data. We're not saying mawawala ito. There will be new things that need to be studied, that our young people should be educated in, no? Like yung BPOs, no? People are saying, ngayon kasi si Trump pinababalik niya lahat yung mga American businessmen, therefore wala ng BPOs. I'm glad wala ng BPOs because I don't like my students who graduated the BS chemistry, BS biology, tapos minumura ng mga yung mga sinisingil nila sa credit card. Hindi ba yan ang mga BPOs? I want the BPOs to disappear because it's no value added there, no? So,
Mhm.
ang kailangan natin talaga, identifying mo yung what are the things that matter to us now. The things that matter to us now would be food security, renewable energy, protecting the environment. Wala nang ang enemy, Melo eh. Ang enemy, climate change. So, I mean, yung pagkawatak-watak ng CHED, TESDA, and DepEd, that's really so unacceptable kasi walang unity in planning. And so you can imagine, ngayon, nagsabi ka, di ba? O kayo, mga mahina naman ulo mo, ganyan ka na lang sa sa technology. And yet, I'm sure Melo, maghanap ka ng karpintero. Mahihirapan ka, di ba? And yet, kailangan mo karpintero. And yet, ba't hindi tayo skilled natin, di ba? Kailangan kong karpintero, kailangan kong tubero. Asan sila? No? One
Aha.
time nasa Amerika ako,
Mukhang yun yung
nagbara yung
problema nyo sa yun yung problema nyo sa Tagaytay nung Biyernes, ano? Karpintero.
yes, kasi yung asphalt, naging siya, naging semento, Melo. So it's a
Aha.
good thing meron akong dalawang karpintero. In fact, they're still there. They've been there for 2 weeks. No?
Really?
Yeah,
Yun-
because nasira niya yung bahay ko dahil sa asphalt. So yun, that is what I'm saying.
Aha.
No?
Okay. I can imagine. Pero katulad yan, merong APEC, tapos yung Trans-Pacific Partnership na inayawan ni Donald Trump. Tapos noong 2013, sinimulan ni Pangulong Xi Jinping yung Belt and Road Initiative. May pakinabang po ba Pilipinas doon sa BRI?
Ay, malaki yan. Unfortunately, if you will recall at the start of the Duterte administration, we were talking billions that would have come from the Exim Bank, ng Import-Export Bank ng China. Because
Ito
siya
ba
yung
yung
mag-finance ng BRI.
AIIB?
Oo, AIIB, no?
Okay.
And unfortunately, our bureaucracy is really so Byzantine, no? Sobrang what is the term?
Antiquated?
Sobrang daming likaw niya na hanggang
Okay.
ngayon, if you will notice, yung billion, wala talaga nagpo-flow. The reality is that yung pera na talaga nakalagay dyan sa BRI, kasi part siya ng regional network, road network, Nelo manggagaling yan sa Yunnan province, Kunming. No? Sa Kunming, tapos tutuhugin niya yung Thailand, Vietnam, Laos, Cambodia, Myanmar, bababa siya ng Singapore, Malaysia, tutuhugin na tayong lahat. No? In fact, before, hindi tayo kasama sa usapan niyan during the Aquino administration for obvious reasons. Ngayon, kasama na tayo sa usapan. Now, why is that very important? Because you are going to link economies. No? Ililink mo yung southern part ng economy ng Yunnan, Kunming, papababa. So you're selling and buying. It's not just China who is getting the advantage here. Mutual advantage yan. Mutual benefit naman niya. So yung BRI, I think is one of the much better than Marshall Plan, one of the most spectacular initiative of China to really connect the world.
Okay. Now, ano yung direksyon ng relasyon ng Pilipinas at China ngayon at sa mga susunod na taon?
Right now, it's we don't know where it is going because the Duterte administration doesn't have a strategic policy. So I'm sure you know, nag-backpedal siya sa visiting forces agreement. And I'm sure, even, we don't know the back channeling that's happening there. We're not privy to that. But I suspect that the hand of Pompeo, the quadrilateral system, yung Japan, Australia, India, and the US, has something to do with it. Wala nang yun sinasabi yung Malacanang na, we're going to remove one of the legs of the Mutual Defense Treaty. No. As a matter of fact, now we really don't know, and China, I'm sure, is equally confused where we're going in terms of China.
Really? What could have led to such a condition or a situation? Parang nagbago yung pananaw at mga binibitawang salita ng administrasyon mula nang mag-usap sa telepono si Pangulong Trump at si Pangulong Duterte.
Kasi parehong pragmatic yung dalawa na yan eh. Contest nga sila sa pragmatism eh. I think what Trump and Pompeo told Duterte is to be cautious, to warn the Philippines about the increasing actions of China in the East and South China Sea. So sabi niya, fino-form namin yung Quad we're going to form Quad++, kasama ka sa plus++. And truly, Melo, kasi democratic country tayo, talagang kikiling tayo sa Quad, di ba? Lalo na may mutual defense treaty tayo, born out of our 50 years of being a colony of the US. No? Many people forget that. I'm sure the young people cannot even remember that we were the colony of the US for 50 years. No? That said, it doesn't mean, Melo, na i-exclude natin in China. You cannot exclude China. China is our neighbor. Fixture siya sa ating rehiyon. No? Ang maganda nga, dalawa yung superpower dyan sa region natin who are both holding our hands so we can confront climate change. Kaya nga, I like it na, who was that? Hindi si Xi Jinping eh, yung isa pa, foreign minister, Wang Yi ba yun?
Yeah.
Who, sabi niya, one of the islands gagawin naming research station. Sabi ko, 1 out of 7 is already success. Sa akin, small success is important eh. Because we've been trying to tell them, don't weaponize that. Make it a research station. Open it for all marine scientists, oceanologists. The fact na nagbukas na sila ng isa is already a success sa akin.
Aha. Okay. Pero alam niyo naman na very pragmatic talaga itong mga leader natin. And it is always, sabi nga nila, pinahalagahan yung golden rule. Parang he who has the gold makes the rule. So, pag dumaloy kaya ang pera, saan kaya babaling yung mga leader natin? Yun isang tanong dyan.
Depend where the money is coming from, no? But China is not a stupid country. It cannot just keep on pouring money when it's pouring money into a bottomless pit. It also has to have returns on its investment, di ba? Okay, it's connecting the world, but wag ka naman utang ng utang tas maya-maya mo hindi ka pala makabayad. So that really depends on our economic managers. So silang utang ng utang tas mamaya nakalubog na sila diyan sa kinakautangan nila. So I think one of the reasons, hindi ko masyadong nasaliksik ito, Melo, but sa nababasa ko lang, the limited things that I have read about it, the reason why hindi umusad yung BRI sa atin is masyadong nakahalang yung bureaucracy. The bureaucracy is just something that pati tenga mo will bleed, no?
Yeah. I remember talking to Secretary Sani Dominguez in one occasion. Sabi ko, why is it that money has not flowed to the Philippines? Sabi niya may konting years ago. So what could this be? Is it because mas malala pa yung ating bureaucracy kaysa sa Takeshi Castle ng Japan na pinaglalaroan ng mga bata noong araw? Ganun ba kasalimot yung bureaucracy natin, Professor?
No, Melo. I-compare mo sa Vietnam. Vietnam ngayon, nakuha niya yung nag-transfer na China, na Japanese factories, manufacturing. Bakit? Yeah. Not only because they have one Politburo directing them, but because Vietnam gave them all the possible leeway for them to establish the manufacturing industries there, creating jobs for Vietnam. I'm sure, alam mo na, mag-uumpisa na tayo ng enumeration na napakahaba. Umpisahan mo na dun sa 60-40, umpisahan mo na dun sa napakasalimuot na bureaucracy natin, umpisahan mo na dun sa napakataas na corruption na pati janitor kailangan mong bribean. But sa Vietnam, siyempre, alam mo sila doon, authoritarian regime doon, mag-bribe ka doon, I'm sure, baka death squad ang anuhin mo. So, gusto ng business, any business for that matter, it need not be Japanese or Chinese or what, or Indonesian. Business wants certainty, and we are a very uncertain country. Especially in a few breaths, kakaroon ka na naman ng bagong presidente, di ba?
I remember then Senator Leticia Ramos-Shahani, may she rest in peace. Sabi niya, you know, even corruption in the Philippines is so inefficient because in some countries, you bribe, something happens. In the Philippines, people have already bribed so many and yet nothing happens. So pati yung graft and corrupt practices inefficient. Pero it appears that nothing has changed over the years. Or is it just because we're getting old that we don't see the light at the end of the tunnel, Professor?
Actually, it's not true that nothing has changed. Things have worsened. The corruption is just so rife, and unfortunately, the president keeps on appointing his friends, ex-military people, and some people whose hands are not exactly clean. Let me put it that way. So, alam mo, corruption, napakalalim na ugat yan, Melo. Na-discover ko yan nang nasa defense ako, na para ka nakaw ng ₱1, 7 tao ang kailangan ka kuntsaba mo. Hindi ka pwede magnakaw mag-isa ka. And therefore, ang hina ng ating whistleblower law, no? So yung whistleblower natin, ang ginagawa natin, either pinapapatay mo siya or winawalan mo ng trabaho. So the only thing for you to know where corruption is happening, how much and on what level, is for you to be an insider.
Really? So
Yes.
even graft and corrupt practices in the Philippines has liberalized.
Yeah. So
Pati
include mo na yung
janitor
mga
kasama.
utilities mo.
Yeah. Anyway, you wrote a book way back. It's about the bureaucracy. I understand this was one of the last copies I had from you. Ito yung tungkol sa burokrasya na sa oras na magtayo ng mga ad hoc committees or commissions, the more na nawawala ng saysay yung mga departamento na mayroon talagang obligasyong magtrabaho. Ito po ba ay nagbago na over the years?
It has worsened. If you will notice, every time a new issue comes up, they think of creating a Department of OFWs, Department of Disaster Resilience. And yet, when you examine all the existing departments, you will find out the mandates are there. In other words, why do you're correct. Whenever you have ad hoc committees, whenever you have task forces, that means it's a failure of the bureaucracy. Because the bureaucracy is there really to implement all the policies of the governors, of the decision makers. If you keep on creating task forces, you're simply saying, alam mo, tong departamento na to, inutil na to, gawa na lang tayong task force. Lagay natin yan ng ex-military person. Diba? It's really an admission of failure of the existing departments.
But if there is indeed failure, why is it that there is no accountability?
Well, many reasons. One reason is that, Melo, ewan ko ba kung nakwento ko na sa iyo yung, yung BP22, yung bouncing check law.
Mm-hmm.
Saka pa lang nagkaroon ng extrajudicial settlement yung aking case na final ko. After 12 years, Melo, bouncing check lang yun. No. Isipin mo kung criminal yun. Merong isang criminal case dito, di ba, yung napatay sa isang fraternity, after 22 years, saka pa lang nagkaroon ng conviction. 22 years. So, where are we on this? So even the bureaucracy in the judicial system really needs reform.
Okay. Well, anong qualities ang gusto ng Pilipino na mamumuno sa kanya? What qualities of a leader would Filipinos seriously consider in the coming presidential elections?
Well, there are many Filipinos because there is no one monolith Filipino. Kung ako, siyempre, you pay attention to my interest as an elderly. Pangalawa, you reform the bureaucracy, which is so close to my heart. And then, pag reform mo ng bureaucracy, reform mo na rin yung education system. But some other Filipinos would have got issues. Whoever will give me job, I'll vote for that person.
Wala na nga pinangako sumayaw lang manalo. How do you make of that?
Mainly because there is still a large segment of your 64 million qualified voters who really do not appreciate the power of the vote. And therefore, you give them 500, you give them 1,000, sige, I'll just vote for you. Hindi nila na-realize yung power of the vote. And you need more and more political education to make them realize that. That's far off in the future, but it will happen. It will happen.
Yeah, I know of good people who lost in the elections simply because they did not buy votes. Or if they bought votes, baka kukunti yung kanilang ipinambili.
Kulang. Yeah.
Baka kulang.
Yeah.
So, saan naroon ang failure? Is it sa educational system? Is it sa kultura? Is it sa pananampalataya? Saan nandun ang pinakaugat nito, Professor?
Many answers. But if you want a quick solution, then you change the institutions within which they operate. That is the quickest. I think I mentioned in your previous interviews that it will take 90 years, 3 generations, for you to change my belief system, my values, my orientation. But it will take quickly, like tomorrow, ayusin mo yung institution within which I operate, my behavior will change accordingly. That's the reason why we're saying Mag-shift tayo sa parliamentary system. Let us shift to a single-member district and proportional representation system so that you and I, Melo, wala tayong salapi, we can run. Na hindi natin kailangan ng salapi.
Well,
ayusin mo yung electoral system mo eh.
Yun na kung aayusin. Dahilan sa mukhang hindi aayusin sapagkat kapaki-pakinabang sa kanila at sa kanilang interes na kinakatawan, di po ba?
Yeah, kanya nga, I'm comforted by the fact na puro mga bata ang magraran sa 2022. No? Si Sara, si Bong, si Mark Villar, sino pa? Si Remulla, si Bongbong Marcos. These are young people. Pacquiao, no? These are young people, or if they are not yet, if they're not young, they're open to changes. So, kailangan natin makumbinsi sa kanila that we need institutional change.
Siyempre, sa mga nabanggit nyo, may magtatanong, wala na bang iba? Yun na lang?
Unfortunately, in the meanwhile, limited tayo dyan. Kasi nga, yung mga iba, bagamat skilled sila, knowledgeable, etc., wala naman silang salapi. Eh, yun ang real ng politics natin. So, in the meanwhile, isipin na lang natin transitioning to a desired leadership. Diba?
All right. Balik ako doon sa isa pa nating paksa. Yung Pilipinas ang coordinator doon sa ASEAN-China dialogue. Do you think may papel talaga, may magagawa ang Pilipinas o may nagawa na ang Pilipinas para sa kapayapaan o kaunlaran ng rehiyon ng ASEAN at ng kalapit bansang China?
Yes, of course, the answer there is a quick yes. Many people think of ASEAN as a dancing, a singing, a talking club. That's not the case. You know, I counted how many meetings they had in 1 year, Melo. They had more than 580 meetings. Lampas pa sa 365 days, which means theoretically, alisin mo yung weekend, there would be 2 or 3 meetings happening simultaneously na ASEAN related. What has ASEAN accomplished really? I wrote a paper on that in 1981. Ang tingin ng China sa ASEAN is an American creation. Medyo tama siya doon kasi parang sinundot ng konti tayo ng ng Amerika lang, parang SEATO, Southeast Asian Treaty Organization. Mag-form tayo niyan. But ang pinakamalaking worth ng ASEAN is that we are talking and we are not killing each other. And the fact that we have partners plus China, Korea, South Korea, Japan is a good thing because later on ASEAN will embrace more and more countries. So the centrality of ASEAN is really so pronounced right now, and I like that.
Okay. Looking forward, ano po ang nakikita niyong papel ng Pilipinas? In one forum where I spoke, I was asked by Filipino-Chinese, yung kayang pagkilala ng Duterte administration sa China will remain the same. Whoever gets elected sa presidency sa 2020.
Yeah, it will. Biden, in fact, if you listen to him, will have so much more anti-China rhetoric, no? But I think because China is our neighbor, we have cultural relationship with China. Ewan ko, Melo, kung nabanggit ko sa iyo, alam mo ba sa Fujian, hinos nila ako doon, ang laki-laki ng Rizal Park. Ang ganda-ganda mas maganda pa sa Rizal Park natin. I mean, you can see how China honors our heroes, national hero natin, no? So, ang sinasabi ko, you cannot ignore China. You cannot ignore China. Whether we like it or not, China has to be our friend. Kasi iisa lang ang dagat natin. May mangyari sa dagat na yan, tama tayong lahat. Hindi lang China ang tatamaan kasi coastal state tayo. So, ang dapat nga, maghawak tayong kamay, magkakapit-bisig tayo, and that's the reason why unti-untiin natin itong China, no? Alam ko, China takes a long time to change its mind, but eventually it will change its mind. It is the emerging superpower, and it has to realize that it has to play the game of a rules-based international system.
I see. Now, it may be too early to say, pero ano nakikita niyong kalalabasan ng halalan sa Estados Unidos?
It's anybody's call. But if you were to ask me, Trump is better for our region.
Bakit po?
Well, because of all the presidents, Republican and Democrats, it's only Trump, because of the coincidence of his interest and our interest, who has taken the cudgels for us in our contested South China Sea and for Japan in East China Sea, and also supported our Sabah claim. No president has done that. No, Trump showed by his pragmatism that he met with Kim Jong-un. Sabi ni Biden, hindi siya makikipag-meet kay Kim Jong-un. So pareho na naman ang framework niya ng previous president. So for that, I don't like Biden. Biden is not good for us, for the region, I mean. No? And yes, because Trump is such a pragmatist, then he will make sure that the sharing of the defense of our region, as well as the defense of Europe, as he's saying, would be equitable. No, tama naman si Trump eh. People are saying he's pursuing cashier diplomacy. How else can you pursue diplomacy except through the mighty dollar, diba? So that's real politics. So let's not close our eyes to that.
Okay. Ano pong mensahe ninyo sa ating mga manonood, sa ating mga tagapakinig, at mga nagsusuri ng lipunan, Professor Clarita?
Sa loob ho ng, ano ba yung 600 days? No? Sa loob ng, basta 600 days. No? Hindi ko siya matagalog, hindi ko maisip eh.
600 araw.
Sige. Nakikita niyo yung nangyayari sa Amerika. Talagang masyadong excited yung mga tao na magboto. Sana ganyan din kayo. Lalo na sa 64 million na magboboto, ang pinakamalaki diyang percentage kabataan. So sa mga kabataan, Melo, na nakikinig sa'yo, nasa kamay ninyo ang kinabukasan. And that means that wag ho kayong magtamad sa May, ewan ko nga ba kung anong May yun, when we have to vote because we need to hear your voices. Yun na siguro ang aking
Thank you, Professor. I wish you the best of health and see you in Ligao City one of these days. I wish you the best of luck. Sa mga susunod pong pagkakataon, Professor, thank you. Have a nice day.
Sige. Ingat ka din, Melo. Thank you.
Salamat po.